Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Beyond Fulfillment podcast. I'm your host, Dave Goulas, and this week, my guest is the founder of the How to Stop Procrastinating in 30 Days program, Paty Johnston. Welcome, Paty.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's great being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. Um, Paty, we connected recently, and you've got such an incredible story. Could you tell us your backstory and how you got to where you are?
Absolutely. Yes. First of all, I'm super happy that we're connected. I'm very, very blessed and very honored to be here. I'm going to tell you the story of my life in a few minutes. Okay. So I was actually born in Colombia, but I came to the US like many years ago. I came as a single mom and I grew up in a house where my parents are very, very systematic, very clean, very disciplined. And my sister, she thinks she's perfect, but she's not perfect. But she's almost perfect. And me, oh my goodness, I was the opposite. I grew up being very disorganized, very brain scatter. I would forget my homework. My room was a mess. So my parents, when I was growing up, especially my dad, used to say, "Oh my goodness, Paty, I don't see a future for you. Look at how disorganized you are. You're such a mess." And my dad is a good dad, but back then he didn't know any better. And so I actually grew up thinking there was something really wrong with me. I thought, I'm trying to do a lot of things, but every time I say I'm going to do something, I don't do it. And I forget things. It was hard for me to focus. And on top of that, I got pregnant when I was a teenager. So my parents were like, "Oh my goodness, now you've ruined your life, Paty. Now you definitely were not going to have a future." So I actually moved from Colombia to the US. My son was 3 years old at the time. And I used to work long hours, get underpaid. So I decided, you know what, something needs to change. So I started studying psychology just to fix myself. And I discovered that the real reason of my procrastination, I was born a procrastinator, was not due to lack of time. And, we all have time. But I discovered that procrastination is directly linked to emotions. I discovered that procrastination is not a time management issue, it's an emotional management issue. So I realized that things like fear were holding me back. Like I was afraid of failing on whatever I wanted to do. I was feeling overwhelmed or having so much on my plate and anxious, and a lot of negative feelings were interfering with the things I should be. I knew what to do, but I was not doing them. So I created a system that helped me overcome my procrastination. And I decided back then, Dave, that I was going to quit my job. Oh my goodness. Every week I would be like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job. And I decided, after getting stronger, I took 30 days to work on myself. And after that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to open my own company. And I had $2,000 in savings. A single mom, I just was gathering as much money as I could. So I opened my own business with $2,000 and I sold it for $500,000 just 18 months later. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that much money altogether. So I thought, oh my goodness, this works. So I opened my second business. And my second business, I sold for even more money than that 2 years later. And you know what my dad said, Dave, when I sold my second business for so much money? He came to me, he's like, "Paty, I've always believed in you." And I was like, "No, Dad, you didn't." But oh well. So it was then when like I sold my second business for so much money that people started coming to me and saying, okay, so what is it that you do differently, Patty? Teach us your secret. Teach us what do you do? So I said, used to say, well, I worked on myself for 30 days and I created a system on how to overcome my own procrastination and through emotional intelligence. And I started teaching that system to others. And every time that I taught that system to others, they started doubling their income, opening new businesses, losing weight, taking action that was impacting their lives, getting married, believe it or not. So, you can procrastinate in any area of your life. So that's why I'm very passionate, because what I was teaching back then, it was working on others. And that's when I decided to become a coach. And that's how I ended up creating an online program called How to Stop Procrastinating in 30 Days, which explains exactly the way I did it and what I help others with. So that's the story of my life in 3 minutes.
Wow, that's incredible. So you mentioned that oftentimes too, procrastination, that you found it's linked to negative emotions such as fear, right?
Yes.
Is that is it really that, like, the main point of your work is getting people to zero in on whether it's fear or self-doubt, or because like you said, you were constantly being told you weren't, you didn't have much of a future and you're too disorganized. You
Yeah.
thought there was something wrong with you from all the messaging
Yeah.
you're getting. So
Yeah.
is it just getting people to zero in on those negative emotions that they're holding them back from taking action?
Yeah. So I think we've been lied to for many, many years. First, we were told, oh, we can multitask. For you to be productive, you need to do a lot of things at the same time. And that brings a feeling of overwhelm. I have so many things on my plate, I don't even know where to start. So we paralyze. So that's a negative feeling. The other one that you just mentioned, fear is a big one, is a big one because I don't know you, but I didn't grow up with the perfect family. And a lot of the things that I experienced growing up, things that were told to me, like I was never going to make it, like I was, didn't have a future, that impacted a lot on how I thought of myself. And things, like not only fear of failing, but fear of what other people would think of me, fear of judgment, fear of not looking good in front of others. So I discovered, I was like, but why is it that if I know exactly what to do, I don't do it? Let me give you a quick example. I used to wake up, I was in sales. So I used to wake up every day. It's like, okay, I'm going to follow up with 5 potential clients today. But deep in my heart, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to feel rejected. I didn't want people to think, oh my goodness, she's so pushy. Oh, there you go, Patty again. So I would say, okay, yeah, I'm going to follow up with 5 people. But first, let me check social media. So I would go to social media. I was like, oh my goodness, so and so got married. I cannot believe they didn't invite me. So I would just start clicking on every single picture. It ended up like 2 hours later looking at the profile of the grandmother who I've never met in my life. It was just a waste of time. So what I was doing there, I was replacing the fear of rejection, of the fear of the dreadfulness of me having to follow up with people, and I was replacing it with pleasure, with the pleasure of distraction, avoidance. But then after that comes the guilt. It's like, here we go again. Oh my goodness, another morning wasted, another week wasted, another year wasted. So I discovered that was holding me back. A lot of fears and anxiety and doubt of myself. And so once I discovered my real reason for procrastinating, it was only then when I can fix it. And now I discovered, like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one, but I discovered a lot of people procrastinate. And it's only when you find the real reason when you can actually be able to change it. You cannot, we've been told, oh my goodness, just buy a calendar or just to do a to-do list, or the New Year's resolutions, which I had like the same New Year's resolutions for 10 years. But that's not enough. It's not enough if you in your heart have fear or feel anxious or nervous or have any negative feelings. That definitely will hold you back.
Okay. And I remember you telling me when our first conversation is like when you had all the success, it's not because I'm any better than anyone else. It's just because I took action.
Yes, yes. You know what? I am the least likely person to succeed, right? Like I have attention deficit disorder, ADD. I have mild dyslexia. I came to the US as an immigrant, a single mom. No money, my parents were not wealthy, so it's not like I had money to invest, or I started like from nothing. So what I tell people, and they're like, oh my goodness, Paty, look at you. You travel the world. You're invited to all these events. It's because you're great. And then I say, I'm no better than you. If anything, I was like the least likely to succeed. But if I was able to do it, that's why I'm so passionate, because anyone can anyone can fulfill their dreams. Anyone, like I thought millions of dollars were not for me because that's not, my family or Colombia, but it can be. If it was for me, it can be for anyone out there, because I'm no better than you. I just did the work. I just figured out what was holding me back, and it was my own self. I was, believe it or not, self-sabotaging. So once I discovered that, I was able to fulfill everything I could get to. And that's what I teach others, that they can too.
And so your program, what is it like a one-on-one type of thing, or is it like a group session? Like what's your program like?
Yeah, so basically what I do, it's called How to Stop Procrastinating in 30 Days, because I took 30 days before to work on myself. So it's an online program, and it follows exactly the same thing I did. You can do it one-on-one, or you can do it in a group. I chat with people before and see what they're at, what they need, but it's basically online. You go every day, you watch a video of their coach. So that would be me. And then first week, we discover the real reasons of procrastination. So yours can be different from mine or my next client. We all have different unique reasons behind why we don't do things that we need to do. Our lives are different. Our childhood upbringing is different. So it's just to find out the real reason on week one. Week two, we talk about goals. Where is it that you want to be? If there were no limitations, where do you want to be? So we talk about that. Week three, we talk about emotional intelligence. And we've been told before, it's like, oh my goodness, you can succeed if you have an high IQ, intelligence quotient. Like if you're very intelligent, you will succeed. But it's been proven that it's actually based on EQ, emotional intelligence, your level of success. It's 85% of your success comes from EQ, emotional intelligence, and not IQ, which I couldn't believe. And then we can actually increase EQ. So that's good news. So week one, we find why. Week two, we find real goals. Where do you want to be? Week three, we work on emotional intelligence. And then week four, we create a plan on how you actually are going to take action. Because we've been told, oh my goodness, dream big and dreams and wishful thinking. And that's good, right? Dreams are good. But if you don't take action, you're not going anywhere. So that's what I teach people. It's an online program where they not only learn about themselves, but they apply it, and they're accountable to me and the group. So if you tell me you're going to go and walk every day, let's say for 30 minutes, you need to take a picture of your tennis shoes by the park and text it to us.
In my world, a personal brand is invaluable. A year ago, Easy DC was brand new with just a couple of customers and no online presence. Then I found Hicks Marketing. They help me amplify my personal brand, build a solid content strategy, publish my podcast, and 10x the number of customers we serve, all in less than 1 year. Do you need a marketing partner who gets you and cares about your success? Reach out to Alicia at hicksmarketing.com for more info and tell her Dave Goulas sent you.
You're not getting away with things that you are supposed to be doing anymore. If you want to follow up with 5 people during the day, then you need to text us, show us that you did it. If you want to create your webinar, a website, you need to show us you've done it. So it's a beautiful process of not only one side of things, but you learn about yourself, you take action, and you're accountable. And that's why it works.
And so you've helped a lot of people. What's the most rewarding part of doing that type of work?
Oh my goodness, Dave. So my mother, when I started this company, she said, why are you creating a new business, Paty? You don't need to work. I'm like, well, Mom, I like to work and I like to see people change. And that's why I do it. And it's easy. People change in days, Dave. I know it's crazy. By 2 or 3 days, they start saying, oh my goodness, I feel different. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm regaining control of my life. So to see them change so quickly is beautiful. And I get in average 2 or 3 texts a week where they say, Paty, you changed my life. And my response is always, no, I did not. You changed your life. When they come to me ready for a change and ready to do the work, they change their lives. They change their lives with every action now they're taking. So I love that. I'm just very, very blessed to have a job where I can see people happy and empowered and reaching their full potential. So I wouldn't change this for anything.
And is it always that aha moment within the first week or so when you start the
Yeah.
program where they really dig in and they uncover that emotion that's holding them back?
Yeah, believe it or not, it happens between day 2 and 3 of the program. That's how effective it is, because people come to me overwhelmed and confused. And they're like, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. I just need a change. Please help me. And then once they start doing the work and start taking action, they're like, oh, I didn't realize, like I was in Colombia, so I'm from Colombia. So I go to visit my dad a couple of times a year. And last time I went, a lady called me 5 times and I couldn't get her call. And I'm like, hold on just 1 second. I was doing something. And then I call her, I'm like, what is it? And she's like, Paty, I discovered what it was. I'm like, what? She's like, I've been so angry. I've been angry about my parents. I've been angry about my divorce. I'm angry at my kids. And I've been there for a long time. I'm like, okay, it was worth the 5 calls. So, in a little time, you discover your real reasons behind your lack of action. So that's why it works really, really beautiful and quickly.
Okay. And so I noticed on your social media too that you've been traveling a bunch and you speak at a variety of different events too. So you just recently spoke at the Power of Women Expo.
Yes, that's
What was
right.
that? What was that experience like?
Oh, I love traveling, first of all, because my parents were born in Colombia and then stayed in the same house for 30 years. I never thought I could see the world. So I now have a chance to be invited to different events around the world, and then I just travel just for the fun of it. And for me, it's like I have a treasure, right? It's like, oh my goodness, I changed my life. Let me show you how. So when I'm invited to an event, it's not for the vanity of it. It's like, oh, not because look at me, I'm great. Let me tell you what I know. It's like, oh my goodness, there's a way. There's a way for you to get unstuck. There's a way for you to overcome that fear. There's a way for you to uncover the anxiety that you have, the stress that you're feeling. And there's a way to have a more powerful life, a life where you have control. And one of my favorite words is empowerment, being empowered. And being empowered means having power. And you can only have power when you have control of your thoughts, control of your emotions, control of your time, control of your actions, so that you can have control of your future. So that's why I'm so excited when I get invited to speak in different events, because I can tell people there's hope. There's a better way to do things. So yeah, it's very exciting.
That is exciting. One story I'd love for you to tell, you told this for me when we first talked, is the mechanic shop and how the radio ad. Can you just tell that story for the audience?
Absolutely. So as I said, I had $2,000 saved, and I decided I wanted to open my own business. And then somebody said, "Oh, so and so is selling their business." I'm like, "Okay, very good. How much is that?" And they're like, $2,000. I'm like, "Okay, I have $2,000. I'll buy it. What business is it?" And they said, "Oh, it's a mechanic shop." I'm like, "A mechanic shop? I don't know anything about mechanic, but oh well, I have $2,000. Let me buy the business." So I bought it. I had no idea, not even what a radiator was. And the way I advertised it was to have a radio commercial in a local radio station, and they recorded it for me. And I was getting like one or two clients a day. But then one day, the radio show calls me and they're like, "Paty, we have a problem." And this was a while ago. CDs were the thing back then. And they said the CD actually broke. So we need to re-record it. And it's going to take about 1 or 2 weeks to actually have it ready again. And I said, "Oh my goodness, guys, this cannot be. I'm getting 1 or 2 clients per day, and I'm just starting this business. I cannot wait that long." So they said, "Okay, well, the other option is you say the commercial live." I'm like, "Live? Me? What would I say? I have no idea about mechanic. And how many people are going to listen?" And they're like, "Oh, it's just 150,000. I'm like, 150,000, that's crazy. But by that point, I already have my system. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. And then what I said is the truth. I said, "Hi, everyone. I'm the owner of blah mechanic shop, and I have no idea about mechanic. But this is what I know, that as a woman, when I go to a mechanic shop and I don't know anything that they're doing, they might be taking advantage of me. So this is my promise to you. I have great mechanics, and I will guarantee that we'll be honest with our work. I will protect you. Even though I don't know much about what they're doing, I know for a fact that I'll be here for you." Oh my goodness, Dave. So many people started calling. I didn't have time to get to enough calls. And that's how my shop became super popular and very famous, because every single lady, older lady, their aunts, their cousins, everyone wanted to come to my shop. And we had like a waiting list of months sometimes. So, it's just being true to yourself, is just being bold to do things even when you don't feel like you can do it. I'm proof of that.
That is a bold move, and wow, that's incredible how it turned out.
Yes, 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 it works.
Okay, so you've got your program, and I see you're doing webinars and like Zoom trainings or intro trainings to get people comfortable with it and to see what it is. So what's next for you with your work?
So my passion is helping people, and the way I tell people about what I've done is through webinars. So I get invited to a lot of, live speaking events. But what I do is I like to tell people my 3 secrets, what I call my 3 secrets on how to overcome procrastination. So I invite anyone, if you want to, your audience want to join. This is what I do. I take like 40 minutes, 45 minutes every other week. And then I teach people my 3 secrets on how to overcome procrastination. And also I've done radio shows, podcasts, even TV. I couldn't believe it when I got invited to a TV show, like the little Colombian single mom. Uh, but it's proof that actually success comes from emotional intelligence. So that's what I do. I teach people how to overcome procrastination and how to take action through increasing your emotional intelligence and overcoming negative emotions. So that's it. My mission is to tell as many people as I can so that they can change their lives and join my program because it just works.
That's beautiful. Okay, and
Yes.
if people want to get in touch with you and learn more about your program and what you do, what's the best way they can do that?
So I'm going to offer something special because of your grade and people that listen to you. You have a very loyal and big following. So I'm going to do something special. If you're listening to this podcast and you feel stuck and you feel that you're letting yourself down because you're not taking action or doing what you know you're supposed to be doing, let's just chat. My mission is to help others. So you can actually text me if you're listening, if you want to have a chat with me for 30 minutes at no cost. You can text me and say, I'm in, Paty. I'm in, and tell me your name. So you can text me, people can text me at 813-789-1097, 813-789-1097. Say, I'm in, tell me your name so I know, and then we'll just have a chat, and then I'll guide you on where to start. If anyone wants to go to my website, is stopprocrastinatingtoday.com. Stopprocrastinatingtoday.com. Take a look and see what I do. And, if you want to get in touch, I would love to talk to you and see how I can help you.
Okay, and we'll link all that in the show notes to the audience as well. All right.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Something I forgot to mention is that there's 5 types of procrastinators. So if you're curious, if you're listening and you're like, oh my goodness, I think I'm a procrastinator, and you want to find what type is your type of procrastinator, you can actually go to my website. We can actually maybe put the link in your podcast so that people can just take a quick quiz and find out what their type is.
Okay, we'll link that as well. Excellent.
Yay,
All right.
perfect.
Paty, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. You're doing some amazing work, so I know you're changing lives out there, so it's beautiful to see, and we know you're going to continue doing that, and grateful you could share your work with our audience and continue to just spread this message. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for allowing me to be here. This has been fun and a pleasure. So thank you again for having me here today.
All right, and that's all the time we have. We will see you next time.